Okay, maybe so I shouldn't have eaten so many of those Little Debbies because now my stomach is feeling like
Yes,
funny
you
now.
should
Yeah.
have listened to me,
Of
but you're making a point that's worth thinking about. We often do things that we know are not in our own best interests, whether it's spending time on social media or developing an unhealthy habit or watching porn or saying something unkind about someone. It's strange how we'll choose to do something we know will not be good for us in the long run.
That's totally true. And it's got me thinking a little bit, which is dangerous. But if you were God and you love someone the way that he loves you, I mean, what would you do when you saw someone running towards something that you knew would hurt them?
Oh, okay. Well, you do the same thing any loving parent does when they see their child running toward a busy street. Like, you run after them. You do whatever it takes to get their attention and stop them. And if necessary, to keep them from doing it again, you would even be willing to discipline them.
Yeah, well, I agree. So maybe it shouldn't be surprising that when we see God, allowing consequences or chaos or pain into our own lives, because sometimes that's the only way we're going to learn our lesson.
Yeah. That sounds a lot like the story of Jonah that we started talking about last week. Jonah was running from God because he didn't want to do what God asked him to do. Instead of going to Nineveh and telling the Assyrians that God said to change their ways, Jonah jumped on a ship for Spain and tried to run away. But God knew that letting Jonah run wasn't the best thing for him, so God sent a storm to get his attention.
Yep, and I know this story. I mean, I get to the storm to stop, and Jonah told the sailors to throw him overboard in the Mediterranean Sea, right?
Yes, imagine that now, right? Jonah was so stubborn that he thought he'd rather die than go to Nineveh. I mean, that's some serious rebellion.
For real. No, I mean, no doubt about it. And then God sent a large fish to swallow up Jonah. And I'm sure Jonah thought it was because God was punishing him. I mean, but God was actually loving him. I mean, he saved Jonah's life. And because Jonah was able to live in the belly of that fish for 3 days and 3 nights.
Yeah, it just goes to show, Jared, that not every bad thing that happens in our lives is punishment. Sometimes, like a good parent would, God is trying to protect us from more hurtful consequences if we don't stop running. And when we're too stubborn to let go of things that are harming us, God loves us enough to get our attention and warn us.
Yeah, I wonder if you've ever experienced this or seen it happen. I mean, why don't you guys take a couple minutes to talk in your group about ways you've seen God try to keep people from making bad decisions or holding on to things that are going to harm them? Maybe God sent someone to warn them about what they were doing, or maybe God shut down their chance to do what they were really stubborn about doing, or maybe he caused a relationship to end. Gosh, that hurts. That he knew it hurt them, but you've probably seen some examples of God trying to protect and help people who are harming themselves. So talk through some of that, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
And then we'll be back to figure out what happened to Jonah. Okay, I totally remember this.